the more knowledgeable and skillful the employees you have, the more they're going to be able to contribute to your company's success. So,
Welcome to the 12-Minute Talks podcast presented by Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency. Learn actionable insights from our guests in just 12 minutes. Each episode features business owners, entrepreneurs, and industry experts who share their experiences and strategies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Alex Santos. He's the founder and chief HR officer at Nimble Advisors, where he believes about having a two-way street when we're discussing employee loyalty. Alex, thank you so much for being on today.
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure,
Yeah,
Lorena.
of course. So I thought this was an interesting topic. We've had over 100 something episodes, and I think I've had one other person that does HR, and I think it's a topic that a lot of business owners out there are interested in learning more about, right? We always think of HR like help me hire somebody or some compliance issue, but I like your take on it. There's more to it than that.
Hmm.
Before we get into it a little bit, why don't you tell the audience how you got started in this industry?
Oh man, well, I've been doing this for a little bit, but I started my career actually in training and development. Actually working in Jacksonville for a military contractor where we were developing training programs. This was after I left FSU, and then I came back to Miami, and I started working for Visa, the credit card company, in their HR department because training was part of human resources, and that's where I kind of learned, a little bit more about the other uh, spokes of the HR wheel. Things like benefits administration, payroll, timekeeping, training, staffing, recruiting. Um, and so that was what, 98 around there. In the early 2000s, my brother, to make a long story short, my brother finished college and he said, "Look, I need your help. I want to start a business. I don't want to, go to grad school. I don't want to keep studying. Like, this is not for me." And so in 2003, I think Miami Payroll Center was born. And so we started the payroll business. And after a while, payroll and human resources are so intertwined that it's hard to do one without getting questions about the other. And the more payroll clients we took on, the more HR inquiries we would get. Things like, can you help me write an employee handbook? Hiring this new manager, can you run a background check on them for me? I need a job description for this position that I want to create at my company. And so, the more and more requests um, over time. After I left Visa, I was able to, kind of join my brother and help him join Miami Payroll Center and help it grow. And then after a while, I started thinking, what might be interesting to have my own separate consulting firm, separate from the payroll business. And so, long story short, Nimble Advisors was born about 2.5 years ago when I finally said, what, I'm getting clients that I can support, and I really like what I do, and it's different than payroll and timekeeping, and so why not? So I started Nimble Advisors.
Awesome. So like the traditional route of HR, which you were kind of doing with your brother, it seems in the payroll world and also hiring as well.
Yep.
So you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about employee loyalty and how that can be a two-way street. So I think this is interesting when people are maybe looking to recruit new employees or keep the ones they already have. Maybe not just offer employee benefits, right? That's like very common um, perk. But what else can employers do for employer loyalty and vice versa as an employee?
Sure. So employee loyalty, when business owners and founders, startup founders think of, loyalty in general, they think of, I have to find employees that are going to stay with me and, grow this company, and be loyal. And they think of it as generally as a one-way street. My view is that loyalty is a two-way street, with the employee giving your company 100% of their skills, their knowledge in order to help you grow, and in turn, the company providing the employee with 100% the support, the mentoring, the coaching, the training that they need to develop them as employees and as people. Um, the more knowledgeable and skillful the employees you have, the more they're going to be able to contribute to your company's success. So it's a two-way street. And once employees see that you as a business, as a company, are investing in them and making them a more valuable uh, more valuable piece of your organization, that in turn is what's going to engender them to be loyal, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, I want to stay here because I'm growing here.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So it's thinking outside of just what their job is, right? And offering
Hmm.
the traditional benefits, but how else can you help that employee grow and vice versa? Hopefully that'll lead to loyalty with that employer, right? So like I've
Yeah,
heard like Gary, yeah, I'm sure you know Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Just
He's
talking
talked
about him this
about,
morning.
oh yeah. So he's
Yeah,
talked about that often where him in his business, he's like, well, maybe Sally wants, to buy a new house, but Joe over here wants a vacation as employees of his. So it's really being able to um, help them achieve what they want, right? And so
yeah.
that's interesting. Is there a reason why you stumbled on wanting to really focus more on employee development and loyalty?
Um, sure. And the reason is, part of it is I'm intrigued by how to develop people and how to get the most out of employees, and the other part is just plain marketing. I learned when I was getting my MBA program that you have to position yourself uh, uniquely in the marketplace. You don't want to be like everybody else. And like I mentioned to you earlier, if you Google the word human resources consultant, you'll find that 95% of them are focused on compliance issues, things like employee handbook, and hey, we can help you comply with the law, and we'll help you, meet FMLA and FLSA, and all these other requirements. And that's kind of a very crowded market. So when I was going to launch Nimble, I said, how am I going to position myself more uniquely than some of these other human resources consultants? And I said, well, what am I interested in? I'm interested in developing employees and in developing employee performance. And so that's how I said, I have this skill set. I have a model for developing employee performance, um, that unless you went to graduate school for human resources management, you probably know nothing about. I said, I can bring this to market and I can help business owners really learn how to develop their employees' performance and how to develop their people, to make them more valuable.
Fantastic. That's great that you were able to see that niche that was needed and make yourself stand out because I agree like I do insurance and it's like okay, we all have the same companies, right? But like what's going to set me aside from the next person that also does that? I think that that's really valuable.
I think
And
if
I
you drop a
yeah,
nickel in, I think if you drop a nickel in the sidewalk in Miami, you bump into an insurance agent
probably or a realtor, right? Like
or
like
a
that.
realtor.
Yeah, that's very common. And do you work with a specific sector in a specific industry with this, or just any business owner out there?
No sector. Look, we do a lot of work with restaurant groups. Restaurants have unique HR needs, and a lot of restaurants they rely on somebody at the restaurant that knows a little bit about what it takes to hire somebody legally. But we work with the restaurants. We work with law firms. I work with printers. I work with manufacturing. It doesn't really, anybody that hires employees and anybody that leads other people has a need to not just comply with the law, but I see managers as having a responsibility to invest and to develop their people and to make them more valuable to the company so that they can retain them and engender that employee loyalty, which is what a lot of employers want. But a lot of employers are making the mistake of only seeing loyalty as a one-way street. And if employees see that you're not investing in them other than, a paycheck every 2 weeks, and they find somebody else in the marketplace that is willing to, that tells them, hey, listen, we're going to invest in your education. We're going to train you. We're going to show you how to, whatever. We're going to show you how to use our new AI. We're going to provide you with all these tools. An employee sees that and they say, wow, that sounds to me more challenging. And that's where, a lot of companies lose employees that way.
Yeah, and I think it would also make it more exciting to go into a job where you're
Exactly.
learning new things every day as well, right? That's
Yeah.
great. And so, Alex, how can somebody reach out to you if they would like more information about your services?
Sure. They can go to our website, www.bynimble.com. And that's just like it sounds, bynimble.com. They can send us an email. My phone number is there. Anything they can. There's a small form that they can fill out. They can schedule a consultation on the homepage.
Okay, perfect. And like always, I will have all of the links down below for anybody listening or watching that can easily follow and visit our guest website today. And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name is Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where we help families and businesses with their financial protection needs. And Alex, it's been great having you on today on the 12 Minute Talks podcast. Before I let you go, is there maybe a good book recommendation for somebody out there that might be interested in learning more about how to develop employee loyalty in their own business?
Um, Man, there's there's so many leadership books. Um, I'm actually in the middle of reading. It's actually a business fable, but I'm actually in the middle of reading "Getting Naked" by Patrick Lencian. But there's so many leadership books out there. I can't think of like just one off the top of my head. But I'm sure if one comes to me or two, I'll shoot you an email with some options.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for that valuable information.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Lorena.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the 12 Minute Talks podcast, presented by Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency. If you enjoyed today's conversation, remember to share and subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Remember to make it a great day.